Welcome, everyone. I'm your host, Merlowski, and welcome to my new podcast, Beyond Action. This is the podcast where I will be diving into my various opinions, theories, and just thoughts on the ever changing industry, the entertainment industry. When I was young, I always loved going into the movie theaters and just creating my own theories and just sometimes writing about it, sometimes just talking about it, and I would drive everyone around me crazy. So here I am, and I am now going to drive all of you crazy. So why not you stick around? Episodes will come out every Sunday. I hope you enjoy. Today's topic of discussion will be Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and if you haven't been living under a rock, then you should know that it's coming out February 17th. The thing that makes this movie very significant for me, a big time follower of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is the fact that this is the first movie of the Multiverse saga. The Multiverse saga follows the Infinity Saga, which you saw the big bad being Thanos with the whole Infinity Stones and snapping his finger and making everyone into dust and making a lot of people cry in the movie theaters about Tom Holland dying. So, why is this super special to me? It's because it is the new chapter of a new Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yes, you heard me say it. A new Marvel Cinematic Universe is being born right now in front of our very eyes. As you can see, there are some new characters that we have never even heard of. If you don't follow comics very much, then you haven't. But if you do, like me, then you will have seen these characters in the comics roaming around somewhere. The most notable is probably like She-Hulk, which she just got her new show. They brought in a new character named Scar, which is supposed to be Hulk's son, which is supposed to come in the movie World War Hulk, but I don't really know what's going on with that project. Anyway, so Scar is one of the new Avengers, which is the Hulk of the new Avengers, the new age of Avengers, which are basically just the kids of all of these, or maybe just their proteges, as seen in Captain America and the Winter Soldier, like the show. Um, the Falcon, he becomes the new Captain America in the end. He becomes like a Falcon Captain America, where he like can fly and stuff like that. What makes this very interesting is that it will give a ending and it will give new way to new characters, including Cassie Lang, which is Scott Lang's daughter. And this movie will be introducing the new multiverse. Well, like, we've already been introduced to the multiverse. So in Spider-Man No Way Home, for example, we saw all three Spider-Men together. We saw that because of the multiverse. The multiverse is a theory where two parallel universes can kind of coexist. Like, you don't really go into one, but you don't really go into the other. So, what is so significant about this theory is because, like, right here, I'm recording this podcast, I'm making this episode for you guys to see, but in a different universe, I might be a construction worker or something like that, where I wouldn't even be seen on camera. We could be very different or we could be very similar. It all just depends on where life takes us in that separate universe and the decisions that we take, which is something that I feel is going to be very explored in this new universe. In the movie Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, it might dive a bit into the multiverse with the big bad being Kang the Conqueror, but it dives more into the Quantumverse or Quantumania, where we will basically see a sub universe underneath our very own. So, under every speck of dust, there will be a small little universe that the main characters try to communicate to, and they end up getting sucked into this small universe, and henceforth the name Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Or, as I would like to call it, Ant-Man stuck in Quantumania. Yes, you heard me right. Ant-Man stuck in Quantumania or Ant-Man dead in Quantumania, whatever you would like to hear. Because I think that Ant-Man will die. Okay? Like, just kick the bucket, just straight up die. And I have various, like, theories and opinions of why this might happen. However, Paul Rudd is turning 54, or he has turned 54. If you have Paul Rudd, happy birthday. And he is getting worn out, and his contract might not be renewed. There's still a lot of stuff in the air that we don't know. So it's very possible that this might be the last live action performance that we see of Paul Rudd in the red suit. Who is Ant-Man? Ant-Man is a superhero with the superpower of growing extremely big or shrinking down extremely small. Either one is like very interesting, especially when you take into consideration that he can lift 10 times his body weight, and if you grow very big you can lift 10 times that body weight, but it comes at a cost at getting more tired faster, and the smaller that he is, he doesn't get as tired. He can also command an army of ants, he can speak to ants, and the reason that he can fly is because there are ants that can fly, and so he just like kind of hops on one of their back and it takes him. Kind of a like bad way to give him wings, and especially when you have the wasp that actually does have wings, but it doesn't really matter too much for the story because Scott Lang, Ant-Man, our protagonist that we're following, he is a convict because he steals stuff for a living, and that's how he like makes a living and stuff like that. Well, he did work at Baskin Robbins at one point, if you remember, but he steals stuff, and like that's just all that he does. And even the reason that he becomes Ant-Man is because he decided to steal from one of the richest and most important people in like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Hank Pym. Obviously, if you're new to Marvel, you've never heard of that name. If you're not new to Marvel, you obviously already know who he is because you haven't been living under a rock. Hank Pym, the creator of the Pym particle. The Pym particle is the particle that lets you grow big or small. He created the Ant-Man suit to like be able to control it, and he was the original Ant-Man. Obviously, the age gets to him, and so he can't be Ant-Man anymore. So he's looking for someone to like kind of like carry on the torch and stuff like that. Scott Lang steals the suit, and then he ends up becoming the Ant-Man in like a stroke of luck. So then he becomes a superhero, and he even fights alongside the Avengers. And he is the reason why the Avengers ended up winning in Avengers Endgame. There's no way that without Ant-Man would have the Avengers won Avengers Endgame. So, big up to you, Ant-Man. This movie is set to be a banger. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, the trailer, like 2 of the trailers have dropped, and they seem to be very ominous movies. Like a movie that you will have no idea what is coming, even though we already know that the big bad villain will be Kang the Conqueror. Like you will have no idea. Like I feel like we will be in shock most of the movie. The visuals are looking to be amazing, which is a big step up from a lot of the Marvel projects that we've been seeing. And it seems to follow a very compelling storyline of Ant-Man like not really having an identity with the world, like you know he was a convict and stuff like that, and like kind of like struggling with all of that. And now he gets trapped in the Quantumverse because his daughter decided to send a beacon out to the quantum realm so that they can talk to them without the consent of the person that knew the quantum universe and was stuck in the quantum universe for like 20 years or so, 40 years I think even. Like she was stuck in there for so long, and she didn't even like ask her anything like, hey, is it dangerous or something like that. That would have been like a very important question to ask. But no, she just decided to go on and then do it, and then like she like turns it on, and then it's like, wait, you're sending a signal to the quantum realm, and Cassie is like, yeah, like I did so well. Yes. No, no, you did not do well at all, because what are you doing going to a dangerous place? Which I don't know the science behind it, but they end up getting sucked into like a little portal that creates. And so then they are stuck in the quantum realm. And my theory is that they look up to Kang the Conqueror, which is like the king or emperor of the quantum realm, to like look for help to get out. And so here is where I scratch your back, you scratch my back type of situation. And so I think that Ant-Man will end up having to do like a favor for Kang, and then Kang will turn his back on him. And once Kang turns his back on him, then Ant-Man will realize that we are going up against a supervillain that is seriously dangerous. After hearing about the trailer, it's pretty safe to say that something is going to happen. Something is going to go wrong, and some people are going to get hurt. My theory, though, still stands. Ant-Man will either die or get stuck in the Quantumverse or lose something of very high importance to him. Obviously not his daughter, because his daughter is set to keep on going, lift the torch of Ant-Man and like keep going. But Ant-Man himself will take a serious blow, and I'm 100% sure of this happening. As I just explained to you as a trailer, in the trailer there's a piece of dialogue between Ant-Man and Kang the Conqueror, and it seems like they are fighting in this, where Ant-Man says, "I don't have to win, we both just have to lose." Which either means that Kang the Conqueror was trying to get out of the quantum realm to like spread his dynasty and being an emperor to Earth, and Ant-Man is trying to stop him, and he realizes that the best way to do that might be sacrificing himself, and they both lose so that like the rest of the world can survive or prepare for the monstrosity that is Kang the Conqueror. He might die in attempts to stop him, but the thing is, it doesn't look very good for Ant-Man right here. It looks like he is going to be taking some serious blows, and he might be taking some serious damage, because in the trailer, he looks all bloody and all like raggedy, and he doesn't look like he's in the best shape. Obviously, Ant-Man has gone up against like some pretty fearsome opponents like Thanos and stuff like that, but not one to one. He's always had like a team. You know, when he went against the Yellow Jacket, yeah, it was himself, but he was going against a small time like villain. The Yellow Jacket was an Ant-Man type villain where Ant-Man could fight him. In the second movie, they went against Ghost, someone that can travel through walls and stuff like that, which they ended up saving, but she wasn't the biggest of the threats, as opposed to Kang, an Avengers level threat. There's some leaked footage from San Diego Comic-Con that I can't really show because, you know, copyright and Disney being like really careful about the things that people present, of Kang the Conqueror asking Ant-Man if he's killed him before. This means that he is a pretty big threat. This means that he has killed people before, which means that he has probably killed big people before, because Ant-Man is a superhero that he doesn't recognize. They might play it off as a joke, but the way that I play it off is that this man is an Avengers level killer and someone that needs to be detained at whatever the cost. If you still don't believe me, then I don't know what you're doing, but I have more evidence. The rest of my evidence comes in the production of the movie. So the production of the movie actually started like a long time ago, and some leaked photos came out of Ant-Man having his helmet smashed in with a photo of Kang just like there like looking ominously. So there you knew that Kang was going to be the villain before like they even like fully said that Kang was going to be the villain. But there you had Kang being the villain and Ant-Man most likely losing something very important. I think that it is his life because, like, you know, in the third movie of Avengers, usually the Avengers lose something very important to them. If you may recall, Tony Stark, or Iron Man, lost his suits, but then he got them replaced with nanotechnology. Captain America lost his shield, or he gave it to Tony because he beat him up pretty brutally, but then he got like 2 new vibranium shields from Wakanda, which were pretty cool, but I'd rather have his iconic shield. Then Thor lost his hammer, but then he ended up replacing it with Stormbreaker, but then you have Thor Love and Thunder where he's still not over his hammer. So having the helmet broken is probably going to mean something very big for Ant-Man, or he's just going to have his helmet broken. But without his helmet, he cannot return out of the quantum realm without his head growing extremely big, as you can see from MODOK, or like being extremely small. Yellow Jacket, the villain of Ant-Man's first movie, he's going to be played off as MODOK, as someone that his helmet was broken, and so then like his head grew insanely big and his body intensely small, so now he has to like have like his like head held up, and that's why he's probably going to have a grudge against Ant-Man, because Ant-Man sent him in there with that malfunction that he put in. From what I could gather, comic books do state the fact that there is going to be a Young Avengers like movies and sequels and stuff like that, because like we've already had the entrance of a lot of new Avengers, just like Scar with Hulk, Kate Bishop, which is the new Hawkeye, then we have Yelena, which is the new Black Widow, Ironheart, and we're getting a lot of new Avengers that they're going to fill the shoes of the old Avengers, maybe not in the same way that like we thought that they would, but they're definitely going to be making more movies, just like Avengers Kang Dynasty, which brings up an amazing point The fact that comic book lore says the fact that Ant-Man dies so that Cassie Lang starts the new Avengers to avenge her father against Kang the Conqueror who killed him. That is like the biggest piece of evidence that I can think of, because that is like the exact story that we are following. Most of the heroes that we have seen are in like those comics. And so that is what we will most likely be seeing. The fact that Ant-Man will die and then Cassie Lang will take that as a motivation and will bring out a new set of Avengers with America Chavez, Scar, Kate Bishop, Yelena, Ironheart, and many more. And then she's going to take the fight to Kang and probably either will like end up befriending Kang or something like that, or they will realize that there's an even bigger threat in Avengers Secret Wars. I don't know. That's just my theory, because anything can happen right now. We are in the very beginning of the multiverse phase. Like the very first movie, yes, we had like last year, but those really don't count. They were just trying to set up the multiverse, and some of them did it very poorly. But we are barely in the beginning of a new chapter of Marvel. A completely new chapter, a completely blank slate. And the best way to start a blank slate is by killing off your legacy characters and trying to bring out the new ones from that. So sadly, I think it's going to happen. I think Ant-Man is going to die. And if he doesn't die, then he's going to take a serious blow, like getting stuck in the quantum realm. Thank you everyone for sticking around. I'm your host, Merlowski. It's been a pleasure to share my various opinions and theories on this upcoming Marvel project. If you have enjoyed, episodes come out every Sunday. Make sure to stay tuned, ring the bell, subscribe, follow on whatever platform you're listening to on. And as always, thank you for watching. Subscribe.